Welcome and welcome back. Today we have been playing with the dowel as a prop to help with awareness and just giving us some feedback about our practice. So if you enjoy this video, you might want to check out the others. We have one around hip hinging, we have one around twists, and this one's going to be more about shoulders. So come and join me. We've been using downward facing dog and side bends as sort of our gauge, our check-in to see how what we're doing with the dowel affects our practice, any impact that it might have. So let's come into those poses and just take a baseline and see where you are. So coming into downward facing dog, whatever way makes sense to you, I'm going to just hinge my hips, walk my hands out, walk my legs back, lift the hips up and back. So feeling the hands on the ground, the whole outside edge, feeling the feet, feeling your breath, noticing your shoulders, your spine, your hips, your legs. Just checking in with you. And we'll walk ourselves back up, whatever way makes sense to you. And we'll come to stand, feeling center of the heel, ball of the foot, base of the baby toe, weight even in both feet. And just taking a moment to take a little side bend to one side. If you want to add the arm, you're welcome to do that. Just bring it to wherever it's comfortable. And we'll take a side bend the other way. Feeling your feet. And again, just checking in. How are your sides feeling? Right? How is that? How is it going with you? And now let's play a little bit with the dowel. So I'm hoping you'll be able to see me okay on the floor. I think so. All right. So the first thing we're going to do, we sometimes do this with the strap as well. And so the dowel, in this sense, you could use a strap instead, but I found the dowel just to be a really interesting change from the strap. It has some different properties, right? It's solid. It doesn't have any kind of give. My dowel is actually a mop or a broom handle, the end screwed off. So it's great. It's nice and long. You can get dowels at hardware stores and other places, but it's nice to have a little bit of length, and it does need to be like solid. Because I'll tell you, I tried some things with a shorter, more flexible dowel or tube thing. It did not work very well. All right, so we're going to come down onto our backs and just feel yourself land on the ground. Feel your pelvis, your feet. We'll keep the knees bent, feet flat on the floor, just for some ease through the hips. And then feel your shoulders on the ground. We're going to take the dowel, we're going to hold it about shoulder distance apart so the arms are straight up. Yeah. And so just notice what your shoulder distance is, because I do see sometimes people take it quite wide. We're going to line up those wrists over the shoulders, just like we would if we were, 180 reversed and we were in plank. And then from here, we're going to think about sliding the shoulder blades away from the spine so the dowel comes up to the sky, and then sliding them back down, the dowel comes back down. So we're moving the arm bones. The shoulder blades are moving too into protraction and retraction. Moving away from the spine and back down. My arms, you can see that my arms are just staying the same. They're not locked, they're not bent, but they're not doing this. Yeah, so the movement's coming all the way from the shoulder blades that are sliding around the side of my body to move that arm bone forward and back. Yeah. And then we're going to rest with the shoulder blades on the ground. And you're going to start to lower those arms, but moving only in a range that it feels really nice and easy. The farthest they will go is as far as your ears, but they might not go that far. So I'm just feeling for if there's any clinking or clunking, if there's any desire to hold my breath. I feel a little bit of a tightening in my side body, which says to me that something's up. So I'm just not going quite as far. I'm just playing with this movement and looking at the dowel, feeling the dowel. I can feel if one arm is going faster than the other, right, or farther than the other. I will see the dowel move in space, which I sometimes don't see very well with the strap. Yeah. So you might come all the way down here. You're also noticing, you might notice my rib cage is starting to lift here. So there's a little bit of something in the front of my ribs that says, don't go as far, so that my torso can just stay relaxed and doesn't move. Okay, then we're gonna, well, one other thing you can do if you like is you can pull the dowel one way, then pull it the other. I can't do it very far because I hit the wall. And then just let that go. Take a moment and just check in how you're feeling. We're going to roll over and come on to, I'm going to come onto hands and onto my knees, but you can come to stand. I'm just, I think you can see the dowel in my arms better when I'm kneeling. So the dowel is overhead and I'm going to let my shoulders relax. So if your shoulders are up here, maybe bend the arms a little bit so the dowel, the shoulders could be relaxed. And we're just going to circle the dowel in the arms. Okay. So you can see that I'm not doing this and I'm not doing this. I'm just allowing the arm bones to circle and letting the torso stay still. I'm also not tensing my torso so it doesn't move. I'm going to go the other direction, just playing with the movement of arm bones in the shoulder socket. And you see I've pointed my fingers to the sky just so I'm not like trying to squeeze the bejesus out of the prop. Nice light grip. Okay, so now we're going to play a little bit, and you might, if your arms are bent, you might just stay here. And you can work a little bit with your arms bent. I'm gonna bring mine a little more straight, and you can play with those arms starting to move back behind your head. But you want to be really cognizant of two things. We don't want to stick the head forward. So the goal is not to get your arms back behind your head. The goal is to just play with that movement and notice what your movement is. So if you're poking your head forward to get the bar back, then just notice that, and you don't need to do that. And notice also if you're doing this, because I don't know if you can see here, but if I arch my back, it feels like the bar is going farther over my head, but if you notice what's going on at my shoulders, there's no change. So if I want to work in my shoulders, I need to work in my shoulders. Now, if that bar is coming up here, you can then bend your elbows and bring it down. You can see that the bar didn't come all the way behind my head. That's okay. But I'm going to play with bringing it back, bending my elbows, and it lands on my head. That's cool. And I can see that there's something going on because my arms are listed. My dowel is not staying the same height, so that's kind of interesting, eh? And maybe it comes down behind your head. If it does come down behind your head, the lowest you're going to go is your eyes. So we're not bringing it all the way down to our shoulders. That's actually a little too much for me. I don't know if you can see it, but it adds some tension and my head's starting to poke forward. So I'm going to keep it back a little bit. Good, and we're going to let that go. And just for fun, let's take the shoulders up and take them back and take them down. And take them up and take them back and take them down. Good, and then I'm going to come to stand. And I'm going to take the dowel behind me. Actually, I'll bring it this way. And I'm going to take my hands to the outside of the dowel. And you might find that this is enough. This is some opening through the front of the chest. Yeah. You can walk them in a little bit closer. It's going to partly depend on your dowel as well. You can bring them all the way in if you like, and you can move those. Just take the dowel back. And again, what I'm not doing is this, so it's not a movement in the spine. And I'm also making sure that I don't do this, rolling the shoulders forward, hunching the shoulders forward. So it's not a really big movement. You can see a couple inches maybe. And if that feels okay, you can play there. You can also start to roll that broomstick dowel up and have it now. Which way? Try to make it more even here. In the crooks of your elbows. Ooh, there we go. And then you can do the same thing here. You can slide the elbows straight back and straight back. And again, notice I'm trying not to do this. So my forearms are staying level. And I'm moving through the shoulder. Now, if this still feels okay, we can play with something a little bit more. We can come into our pyramid pose. Yeah, so whoops, hit the wall. 1 foot steps forward or foot steps back. So we're in a short stance, weight even in both feet. And we're going to practice that hip hinge. And that the dowel is doing two things. One, it's keeping our shoulders in a little bit of extension because traditionally pyramid, we do have our arms back. But it's also giving me feedback about my upper spine and whether I'm starting to round forward. So as I come forward here and my spine stays neutral, if I'm starting to round, I can feel the dowel moving on my back. And so I'm going to move in a range where everything just stays neutral. And I'm going to step forward, and I'm going to step back with the other leg. And again, feeling both feet, weight is even. And I'm going to hinge through the hip. Yeah, so pelvis is rotating on my leg bones here. And my shoulders are being held in a little bit of extension by the rod, by the dowel, by the broomstick. We'll come back up. Nice. Okay, I'm going to give you two more things actually. I just thought of one more. So we can also play with our Gomukhasana arms here. So my top arm, I'm holding the rod, and my bottom arm comes, palm faces back, and the arm bends, and I'm holding the rod here. Now, I also showed you doing this for the hip hinge, but you can do this just for shoulders if you'd like. And just feel what you're feeling in the shoulders. And maybe the one hand moves down, but I'd encourage you to experiment with what this feels like in your shoulders instead of trying to reach the hands together, which can end up with all kinds of weird things happening. So just notice what it feels like. And maybe your hand's up here. Yeah, maybe it's even up here. Maybe the other hand's way down. Maybe your other hand comes to your hip instead. You're just going to play with what goes on with those shoulders. And we're going to give that a rest. I'm going to take the other side. Oops, where's my dowel? There it is. Rotating the arm, bends at the elbow, and just feeling what's going on this side. And again, maybe the hand moves down. So the elbow's nice and wide. Eventually it's pointing more up than out. You can see mine's pointing out quite a bit, which is fine. And my other one's pointing out again. As it starts to move up, it might point more down. But really what I'm just playing with is what's going on in my shoulders. Can I breathe? And then I'm going to let that go. Okay. So I have one more bonus for you. It's not exactly shoulders. It's more back bending. But hey, it involves the shoulders. So we're going to come onto our bellies for a little baby cobra. And what I find with baby cobra is, our thoracic spine, our spine from sort of the bottom of the shoulder blades up, it doesn't bend backwards that much. Like its natural curve is forward. So that tends to be what it likes to do. Our neck likes to go back, or curves in, and our low back curves in. So what I often see in cobra is a lot of low back, a lot of neck, and not so much in the upper back. So to really encourage that upper back, again, it's not going to bend as much as your low back, but I'm going to take that dowel and bring it just below my shoulder blades, so it's butting up against my shoulder blades. And I've got my hands just on the very end, so it's not too much work on my shoulders. If your dowel is really, really short, this could be very uncomfortable on your shoulders, so kind of use your discretion. See if you can find a position that works. So it's just underneath my shoulder blades. I'm going to let everything else relax and think about, instead of lifting my head or lifting from my low back, I'm going to think about rolling my shoulder blades around the dowel. So again, it's not a big movement. I'm rolling the shoulder blades around the dowel. Nice steady breath. I'm just trying to notice if I want to lead with my head and my neck, bringing it back to the dowel and the shoulder blades. And let's do one more. Easy through the legs. So notice if your legs want to get involved. I see a lot of people want to add the legs. And we'll release back down. And we will set aside that dowel. And take a moment to breathe. And then bring our hands underneath us and come up onto all fours. And from here, let's come into our downward facing dog again. Tucking the toes, lifting the hips up, and pressing back, and just noticing what your dog feels like now. So you connect the hands and the feet. What does it feel like through the arms and shoulders, through the spine, hips and legs? What does your breath feel like? What do you notice now? And then we'll bring ourselves back up to stand. Again, whatever way feels right to you. Find your feet underneath you, the 3 points. And take a moment to side bend one way. Again, if you want to add your arm, you can. I noticed just a little bit of something in my shoulder suggests that I maybe went a little too far or too hard. See what yours says to you. I'm going to side bend the other way. And again, if you want to bring the arm up, just noticing what your side bend feels like. And coming back down. And then just noticing what it feels to stand and to breathe. Well, I hope you found that interesting, maybe became aware of a few things that you weren't aware of, or at least had fun. And if you enjoyed this, then check out the other videos using the dowel. Have a great day.